Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 433 of the Maritime Paintball Podcast, coming to you live on 97.9 FM CHSR and Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at Maritime Paintball Podcast. How is that for an entrance?
You sound amazing.
I know, it's amazing. It's because I have an entire radio station at my disposal.
We
amazing.
are the only podcast and radio show dedicated to the fantastic sport. We're the only radio show dedicated to the fantastic sport of paintball. There's plenty of other podcasts. All of them are awesome too. So you should go listen to some of our affiliates
Right after hours.
associates. Oh yeah, well listen to ours first. We're live, baby. And anything can happen when the show is live because we have Brad's favorite feature, a call-in feed.
We have open phone lines, so you can call us at 506-453-4979, and let's chat, get on the air. Let's hear what you got to say, because we're going to be talking with our boy Mechtactical, also known as Ryan Bell, or also known as that guy who shouldn't be there. And
what the hell is that on his workbench?
There are several things on his workbench.
Anytime at his Franken markers.
So I have night vision, thermal, contact threes, all fully functional.
Such
my airsoft, my paintball.
I would my kingdom for the soundbite of Homer. Just nerd.
And it's okay because I am too. I'm a terrible nerd. By the way, for those on the radio, I am your king of paintball. That's right. And you spell king all caps because that's how you spelled a man name. And this is our beautiful friend, Brett Odell. He's terrible at introductions, but here on beautiful 97.9 CHSR in Fredericton, we talk about paintball and the assorted shenanigans that come with the sport. Tonight, Mechtactical is going to tell us about Operation Honeybadger 11. I want to call it Electric Boogaloo, the return, the revenge, the sequel, the spin-off. And it's going to become, that's coming up in September. And that is going to be the most dope game because I had so much fun at the OG Honeybadgers that having it come back makes me happy.
So yeah, let's get a little bit of background. So Ryan, give us a rundown. Give us the cliff notes on who you are, where you come from, and why we let you on our show.
My name is Ryan Bell. I run a YouTube channel, Mechtactical. One of my friends from when I was in the military has a very prominent YouTube channel. We could promote him if we want. His name's Nightmare PB. Good friend of mine. I've seen one of his videos.
Guy.
I seen one of his videos one day, totally at random, before I knew anything about paintball, and I'm like, we're going to get into that. I decided that I was going to do the same thing and bring other people into this cool game. And it's rolled forward, and now here we are, and I'm running my own game as opposed to just attending them.
Funny how that happens, eh? It's just kind of like,
oh man,
you see a video and you're like, that's cool, I want to do that.
I didn't just get sucked right in. I got sucked right in. And that's how paintball works. Once you start, you just can't stop.
Yeah, that's very true. Hi, Kenny. It's nice to see you, buddy. Alpha 22.
Also, I'd like to point out too, I think it's funny that you saw one of Nightmare's videos and you're like, I want to do that. And Nightmare saw Alabaster Slim's videos. It was like, I want to do that. So now we got to find out who Slim saw. And, and it just goes down.
Yeah.
Honestly,
that's how it works.
Podcast actually started because I was bored, saw Brian making, I can't call him Nightmare, Brian making videos on YouTube. And I was like, man, I want to do something. And then I was like, man, I hate editing video. So a buddy of mine's like, do a podcast. You talk a lot. And I was like, oh, I do talk a lot.
Speaking of talking a lot, we forgot to do some business.
Who's business for?
Well, first business is Moncton Paintball.
Absolutely.
My home, my love, my field. The King's Forest is coming along nice. It's so beautiful and wintry and blustery. Also, we have, I mentioned it on the pre-show, but since we're on beautiful 97.9 CHSR in Fredericton, anybody listening this weekend at Atlantica in Hillsborough.
Recreational Center.
Thank you. Atlantica Outdoor Recreation Center in Hillsborough are having a winter game. It is going to be a blast. Those guys are awesome. They throw in a fun little game. I believe it's the Siege of Warsaw. So pew-pews for these guys love their mag-fed. So it's a blast. It's good just to get yourself out there, get a little bit of vitamin D, get some exercise. Please do it. Just please. Someone play mag-fed. Bring it back. We need that love. Who else are we thinking of that we need to give love to tonight?
All the mag-fed players out there. My brothers. I miss you all. We'll see you all very soon.
Sorry, I can't unsee what I just saw, Ryan.
I'm gonna let it go, and we're just gonna keep right on going and tell us about Operation Honeybadger.
It didn't go up that high.
Dude, Ryan, I
it's
swear to
the
God.
framing. It's the framing of the webcam.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was straight across, by the way.
It just it was like
Ryan, I was like, I have a drop button, man. You want to see how quick?
That'd be a first, wouldn't it?
It would be the first, but
my name is Tonka Tactical.
You would actually be, if I did that, you would be the first guest I've ever kicked off the show.
Oh yeah,
we'll do that anyways.
Okay, so
no, we do not support fascism in this house.
Oh yeah, not a chance ever.
No, we're just razzing you. We're just razzing you.
So,
oh man,
why MagFed? Why do people play MagFed?
Because
when you and I,
they're tougher than airsoft players.
When you and I first talked, you kind of called it LARPing. I gave some resistance to that at first. So we're talking like 4 years ago, right?
It depends. It depends. It is evolving now that you've got MagFed games like Operation Honeybadger, where that is more of a MagFed game, not a MilSim game. Right. Like it's because you got the dudes running around with the EMF 100s, you got the guys running around with the pistols. That is not simulated military. But the MilSim stuff, yeah, that's LARPing.
And what I was gonna touch on was, I think now that it should be said that is totally okay if that's who. I
never said there was anything wrong with it.
And I would encourage other people to try it out. I
had a roommate. He actually worked for me at Walmart for a time, and then he became my roommate for a year. And then he did actual proper like medieval LARPing where
LARPers. There's
they didn't put on armor or anything. Like he didn't do like the whole armor or anything like that. But that man had like 5 or 6, like they were basically broomsticks with foam strapped to them. And these people beat the hell out of one another.
Oh yeah, man.
Like
for weapons and stuff. That stuff's
there's nothing
awesome.
wrong with it. Just
a lot of fun.
As long as somebody admits that it's LARPing, I'm good. I'm golden.
As long as you admit it. That's all you have to do. You just need to bite the bullet and admit that you're a nerd.
100%,
and that's okay
100%.
Because I've got the enterprise back there, man. Like
there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Just it's my issue has always been with the guys that forget that it at its core it's supposed to be fun and it's a game and it's supposed to be, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a positive experience. You can still go through hell and go through.
Speaking of which, hi Paul Reddick. Like
mud runs, for example. You look at a mud run, that's grueling. That is exhausting. It beats the hell out of your body. But at the end of it, it's a positive experience.
It's
Same
like
thing.
Fast roping out of a helicopter for absolutely no reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's right, 100%.
Like, you know what? I'm going to leave the mic open in Helldivers tonight while I enjoy a little of this conversation because I want them to hear me.
Operation Honeybadger 11 is going to be hell.
That's not a selling point, Ryan. You're gonna have to work with us a little bit more than that because we want.
I want everybody to come and experience something, a situation, if you will. I want everybody to find themselves in a situation inside the realm of MagFed Paintball that they've never been in before. Sure. I want to give people a new experience. I want the little hairs on the back of the neck to come up as you're trying to interpret the situation that you're in, because it's going to very rapidly change without warning at Honeybadger.
So I've given that sense of danger without being in danger.
That's right.
Like you want that adrenaline rush, that fear factor to actually kick in, where it's like that fight or flight response. But everybody's safe. If somebody gets hurt, accidents happen, but that's just
I want somebody to stand in front of a loot crate, and one of them will be containing a full auto T15, complete setup, ready to go, and decide if it's worth picking it up. Because as soon as they pick it up, an alarm's going to go off at the location where it's pictured, and everybody on that field is going to be hunting for them, because you have to make it back to your spawn alive with it to claim it. I want that rush.
Is it?
I want
in
people
the box?
to feel that.
Like, is it
in a like a Pelican case?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you know full well I'm going to walk. They're going to hear me right across the field. But first of all, my first thought is for those of us, for those our friends on the radio, Operation Honeybadger is an event that used to be held at PRZ in Picton, Ontario. It is now being held at the compound. It is a magfed-only event. That means for those on the radio that your paintball marker does not have a hopper on top. It has a magazine like a real pew-pew. It's more of a, it's a MilSim, so military sim. These guys are dressed up, they're decked out, they got plate carriers, they got mags.
A lot of these magfed paintball markers that you see on the market. So if you go on Google and look up T15 magfed paintball gun or paintball marker, or TMC or 468, or if they're still kicking around,
paintball marker.
Yeah,
you're gonna see something that looks like an AR.
Yeah, they're legitimately used, and the bread and butter of these companies at the end of the day, as much as paintballers don't like to admit it, the bread and butter of these things is actually law enforcement and military training. Like paintballers make up like 8% of the sales.
So again, this is something that's a little bit different. We were kind of saying that's kind of like LARPing. It is like D&D. There's a little more of a storyline. There's events that are going to happen. There's NPCs if you're really lucky. Ryan knows how much I loved running into the Merchant of War and meeting him at PRZ, because I love a gimmick.
So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was saying I love a gimmick.
So you said NPCs.
Yes,
okay.
Well,
here's the story.
Yeah, go.
September 26th at the compound this year, there's going to be a fictitious train wreck of military supplies that this train will be carrying military supplies. This train wreck is going to happen in a town called Grasnovia at the compound. And being a Slavic nation, there's private military contractor companies out there that realize they can happen upon this, and it is worth a lot of money. Ooh. So you're going to have Company A and Company B battling each other, not necessarily as red versus blue, but squad A, B, C, and D, so on of Company A, whether they choose to work together or fight amongst each other against B. So it's kind of like fun. And in this town where there's now a ton of attention, these villagers who have first access to this stuff, all of a sudden aren't going to be too happy with all of this military presence in their backyard.
Oh my God! So the civilians are going to revolt. That's so sweet.
Maybe not. So the person I've recruited to run the NPC army is a good friend of mine from the military, and we did do situational training together. And he has the ability to escalate and de-escalate situations based upon player interaction. So if you walk up in this game to one of the NPCs or several of them all hot and bothered, they're going to respond in kind. Or they could just aggro you for absolutely no reason. Well, or they might see you, announce your position, and run away.
So like scabs from Tarkov.
Well, I didn't want to say it out loud, but yeah.
And so it's going to be it's almost like it's going to be a fluid event. Things are going to change. Things are going to happen that you're not going to have any idea what's going on.
Adam and I will not be in control of the flow of the game because it's unscripted. I'm going to leave it all in the hands of my friend Mike Day to decide the escalation or de-escalation of the game based upon how each side is doing.
So you're gonna give a little bit of swing, needs be, if it has to happen.
Right.
So what question I'm gonna ask? I know people can pick their sides, but I assume that you're going to be like, too bad, so sad, balance the teams. There's none of that. No. So
we had a lot of success with, and you guys, I believe they call it, it's a street ball kind of style, where friends that showed up to play together in groups, they assembled their masks inside this massive staging area together in groups of masks. There's groups of masks. And either general on this day of super soft magfed would go and choose a group of masks, and the next person's pick had to be equal to the same number of masks previously picked. So you still had the same number of.
Okay, as long as the numbers balance. Otherwise, I'm going to show up at that event. I'm going to stand on a pallet and I'm going to scream at you.
You have my permission to do that if I'm doing something wrong.
I am absolutely hyped about the idea, though, of that. That's great. So it's going to keep the game balanced. That's all I want. I want
realistic and fluid. Sorry, realistic and I'm just so excited about this game. I can't contain myself.
Man. Go.
Realistic and fluid. If you aggro these villagers, word is going to get back to Mike that some of his people were taken out for no reason at all. So if the villagers go out and aggro and then come back dead, obviously Mike's going to go, yeah, well, you deserved it. But if they come back victims, Mike can then decide to have those villagers spawn closer to the opposite team's base, and they might have vital information as to the location of a loot box and again, this is a fictitious item, a chemical weapons drop, because we are going to have weapons of mass destruction in this game.
Oh, cool.
So
this is going to sound so intricate.
And I haven't written off the ability to be able to loot villagers. So they would, if I go through with this, they would have a special satchel, and you're only to interact with that satchel.
Okay, so no mugging other players.
So you would be there looting this, exposing yourself, because you don't have to go out as an army. You could go out solo if you want to. If you want to show up to my game and run solo, you can do that. But you will be attention down, and somebody else can come by and take you out, just like they would in Tarkov.
See, I do have that bad habit of wandering off, but this sounds wild. It was controlled mayhem at Honeybadger when we were playing, just because for me, because I just kind of go places and I find people that I find interesting and fun to link up with, and that's how I met the NFT guys, because as Lead Farmer kind of chirped me that I don't stay in one place too long, and also every time I was with Lead Farmer, he was pushing me into a position where I was going to get shot in the back. I wasn't a fan of that, but so I like to go around.
You're very sneaky when you're on the field. You've come up behind me a few times, and I had no idea you were there.
It's not intentionally sneaky; it's Towley energy, and I just kind of wander off.
He he appears to dead man walk. He's not. He's just so relaxed and nonchalant while moving from point A to point B that people assume he's not in play, because he's just toweling from point A to point B.
I want to see people.
It's the perfect guys, right?
Right, and that's the thing. And it's not a legitimate dead man walk. He's not cheating. He's not
nope.
Trying
if I get shot,
to,
that's not the game. I will walk back every time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I've seen it happen where people have just taken pot shots at him, but that's what it is. It's Towley energy. It's literally he doesn't know where he's going, and he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, also whenever we're playing big games in Ontario, I don't know the fields, and it happens in Nova Scotia. When we played Hypersports, I don't know their field, so I just kind of wander around until I find something entertaining, and I insert myself into that action. That's how the kitchen fights happened at PRZ. I just kind of hung out by the little box for a while and chatted with the ref.
I hate that box.
I love that thing. That kitchen was so much fun.
Death trap.
Anyways, so
yes, sir.
At the compound, tell our friends on the radio. Those are fantastic listeners that are watching us on Facebook and listening on Twitch. A lot of them kind of know what the compound is, but for our friends on the radio who are in Fredericton, New Brunswick, listening on beautiful 97.9 CHSR, I want them to go play in Ontario and then go there and see what I've seen and bring some of those people back here, because more MagFed is better for everybody.
What is the compound?
Please.
So the compound, as described in my videos, is a 200 plus acre a 200 plus acre field combined of sand, trees, marsh, hard pack roads, and it is all simulated battle space. There are several towns. There are several trailer parks, objects. It's like a mock village, and it's really big. And it was built by players, airsoft players, also some of the MagFed community is bucked up to help out. But it's built by players for players is the slogan. And the owner really has his head on his shoulders and has the beat of every single crowd I've seen him enter. His name is Michael Massacud. His call sign is Magic. And I fully believe that he has earned that. Everything he touches turns to gold.
Nice.
That's
The compound, yeah. So like, it kind of came out of nowhere for the world of paintball because it's been around for ages for airsofters, right? And he's only recently opened it up to paintball.
About 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So
last year was a solid year. There was something happening every weekend on the compound.
Yeah, well, that's when it caught my attention because it kind of just came out of nowhere, and that's when I noticed. I was like, man, this guy's got a killer field, and he's not telling anybody about it. Like, he's not advertising it. He's not promoting it. It's promoted within the people. If you know about the compound, you know about the event.
If you
don't know about the compound, you don't know.
So if you're airsoft, you know about it, but you're right.
Yeah, it's like a worst kept secret kind of thing. Like those who know, and it's like now suddenly it's blowing up. We're seeing it, and like now the paintball world. And I'm saying this in the paintball world. Airsofters seem to be well versed in it. But yeah, it was like this field that just kind of popped up to the point where I was like, is this place even insured? What is this? Like, is this a real thing? Is this an outlaw field?
Yeah. Fully insured.
I was like, no, the dude's been in business for years. I'm like, where has he been?
Drones, tag grenades, vehicles, tag launchers. It's all on at the compound.
Ryan, don't forget to tell them the rules of the compound, meaning the rule of 2 players.
Right.
Yeah, so I wanted to get the compound. So I wanted to explain what the compound was.
There is a 2-person battle buddy rule at the compound. So if I bungled up earlier when I said if you want to play solo, it isn't exactly possible. You have to have 2 people because of the size of it. And it's in Northern Ontario. So if you come across a bear or you fall and break your ankle, shouting as loud as you can, there is a chance somebody may not hear you.
So you have to have a battle buddy. No wonder. Okay.
And in this game, you're going to want to have a battle buddy because you get 1 res applied via tourniquet action. You have to actually hold the person for 30 seconds and you can't self-revive. So it makes sense to have a battle buddy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, in a field like that.
He's good at making people think that when he's walking, he might be out, but never really is. I've watched him do it, and anyone who thinks he cheated, come talk to me. I gotta go give Cliffy a big hug because he'll also call my ass out if I do it. So
100%,
I would.
Absolutely.
I would. The spirit of the game is to not be a douche.
So what's your plan? So it sounds like the compound. It sounds like the Operation Honeybadger is going to be, like you said, it's going to be. You're not scripting. It's an unscripted event. It sounds like you've got a good plan to balance the teams because at the end of the day, it is a game. And
there is,
you don't want what happened at Honeybadger 10 where it was 25 versus like 200. And
that night game. That night game. Yeah.
That night game was brutal. That night game was brutal.
I did have night vision though, so
he had fun. The difference though is that Tom looks after himself. I look after players.
The hell of them.
That's
everybody else was upset. I'm like, fine, target rich environment for my team. I don't care.
You and I had a blast because you're like, just put out your flashlight. That's how we're gonna spot them.
Oh no, the night game was wild. That was that. But it was the next day when I'm standing on the bunker and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, there's 30 blue and I can't count all the red. That was a problem. So it's nice to hear that you've got a really good way. I like that way though of like your friends stick together. It's like, oh, we're gonna take this group of 6. Okay, well now you have to pick 6 players.
It's paintball incarnate. Friends go to play with each other, and what the hell is the point of signing up for an event, showing up with your buddy, and not seeing them until it's lunchtime?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I like that the way they do that. And they even do that at Commando. It literally gets to the point where it's like, okay, everybody who's blue on this side, everyone who's red on this side, we kind of eyeballed it from the stage, and we're like, we need like 20 players from red to move to blue, and then you'd see 2 groups of friends who were just like, yeah, we'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, and
as long as they get to stick together. Yeah.
So I really like put your masks in a group.
So idea. There's 2 ways to win Honeybadger. You can win as a team and win individually, but you will need your help as a team to do it. So we're going to have kill confirmed.
Mhm.
You die, you drop us something. I haven't figured that out yet. You'll drop us something. It'll get collected by the other team. If one person's running away with a bunch of somethings, kill ID markers or whatever, and they get hit, you can recover those kill ID markers for your team. You get them back. The enemy doesn't get to keep them, right?
Cool. I dig that.
And you can win individually by happening upon a loot box. Because, I mean, you guys get to take home whatever I can get through our sponsors and anybody that wants to help us bring MagFed back to life. You know, Takamo kits, markers, vests, tacos. I got a night vision rig I'm giving away. I'm going to put in a box. I was thinking about putting a 3D printer in a box too, like an Ender 3 V2, because 3D printing and MagFed's kind of a thing. Like people like to make accessories and stuff.
People are modding the hell out of MagFed.
Could you imagine? You have no idea what's in the box because it's locked. And Adam and I will have the keys just for official purposes. You bring it back to the spawn and we'll open it. And then there's a 3D printer in the box.
That's cool.
Like,
yes, that
hello.
is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of running around and just finding gear on the field. Like that's super.
It's going to weigh 50 pounds and you're humping it like 100 acres as fast as you can. You're going to earn that.
You run with something free, have you?
Yeah. Like, so that was the thing you mentioned about gear being around the field. So everything is going to be in lock boxes. Right? You're not going to come across like the player's not going to be able to pick up a T15 randomly and run off with it.
No,
they've got to bring it to you to unlock
spawn.
it.
Right.
Cool.
So we'll have people. We'll have people watching that box when it is in place.
Like
Adam and I have no idea where it's going. We have no idea. It's all going to be on my buddy Mike.
Cool.
And the location will be picked.
Mike
Day. And we'll get a radio call, you know, hey, here's some intelligence, because I own a PMC company. And whether the intelligence is valid or not will depend primarily on how his people have been treated throughout the day by the individual contractor teams.
Right.
So it'll be close, but one will likely be closer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then whoever's in the spawn at the time or on the radio, I can be like, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard word there's something over there.
Yeah.
Don't get yourself killed along the way because the other team will be
afoot.
The other team will be headed there too.
Nice. That's cool, then. Okay, I dig that.
Or it could be a trap. Mike could set a trap. He could set an ambush where there's a chemical weapon. Both teams are headed in, and boom.
Right.
So so we're at the whim of a madman, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But it's also a clever way of controlling. Not to say because I know it's unscripted, but what's the word? I guess there's no other way to say it. But it does control the flow, and it's a very clever, immersive way to prevent one team from completely steamrolling another by chance.
I've got
because that does happen, where we've all been to that game where it's like by no fault of anyone's, just the way the wind was blowing that day, you're stuck in spawn for an hour.
I've got that covered too. So instead of walking 100 acres with your marker in the air, Adam and I have decided that we're going to use airsoft. We're going to use airsoft kill rags.
Yep.
So a red anything, put it in your pocket. When you're dead, just put it on your head. And nobody will screw with you. So
I like that.
We're going to be expanding the spawns. So ordinarily you would walk out the door of netting or something and then you're in play.
Right.
The compound is large enough that we can expand the spawn into the tree line. Like you never know where you're going to spawn when you play Tarkov.
You could have 4 square acres as a spawn point from the sounds of it.
Right. Really so you put your dead rag on your head, you go to your spawn location, and you have to wait there for 5 minutes if you're not spawning from your base. You can lay down on the ground, so you're totally concealed, totally fine. The rag's on your head, you're waiting 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you take it off and go. Or we might reduce the time.
So I assume you've got some real leg breakers as referees?
So we have refs. Because the area is so large, and we're actually going to be running probably 10 or 15 consecutive NPCs at a time. They will also have ref powers. Yeah. So Adam and I have decided to cover the cost for the NPCs, so they get to come out and play for free because it will be fun for them also. But they'll be working.
It does sound like fun. I've said it a bunch this year that I had so much fun playing as a medic that I'm 100% down to do that stuff again. Like, I want to do it again. It was
Everybody's a medic. Everybody, you can, because in the real world, your buddy takes one tourniquet and keep going. But we're keeping it paintball and airsoft-ish, right?
Well, we're not going to actually have to
get fun in the bullet wound and go.
you got one screw up before you got to go back to spawn, unless you get hit a second time and your buddy wants to give you his tourniquet, which means he has no spare chances.
A good buddy, a good battle buddy. Take the hit.
Yeah. That's fair. That's good. And it's I feel like the kind of players that are going to be attracted to this style of event are going to be the kind that are less likely to cheat. That's the only word I can think of. It's because when you go to a big game, when you're running an event, there's always the players who kind of bend the rules or break them or just straight up ignore them.
But that's different from this kind of thing, because
that's what I mean. You're not going to attract those types of people.
No, right? Because we'll smack them in the wiener. Don't
remember what I said about the compound, how nobody can hear you scream.
But I mean, the compound, this event is going to attract those players who are gonna follow the storyline, the theme, right? They're gonna want to follow it. They're not. It's not a matter of forced. For example, the difference is that if I play in that, I will begrudgingly follow your rules, but I'm gonna bitch and complain the entire time I'm sitting there with a red rag on my head.
I encourage people to think outside the box, to try to skirt around the outline of the game, because it's unscripted. Okay, it's understandable that if you figured a way around, eventually the other team's going to figure out what you figured out, and they're going to start doing it too.
Oh yeah,
I do like that idea of
if you've decided that you want to lay down in the woods for an hour and wait all the battle to happen, and then get up and just start picking things up, and everything's moved on, that is totally on you. You can do what I mean.
Nothing wrong with that. I don't disagree. I like that.
Or if you want to hop in one of the two vehicles we purchased for Honeybadger and just fly to the other side and get right into it, you can do that too.
That's great.
So I did love being in when we piled into your Jeep at Honeybadger and just started shooting. We had so much fun.
I didn't have fun.
Your ride got shot up, but I mean, you drove your ride on a paintball field. Like, I don't care. Someone don't shoot the U-Haul. It's like, well, you idiot, what did you think was going to happen?
Don't shoot the U-Haul.
If you recall, the air conditioner was broken.
Yep, it was.
So I had my window down the whole time. And
yes.
I was essentially just a taxi driver, and people did not understand that.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
I saw an open window. They put paintballs.
So we have a Suburban.
Nice.
Got a Suburban for this. We're going to be using it for a few airsoft games this year, but I have help from the CSAS airsoft team, who will also be supplying some of the NPCs. Amazing volunteers, good guys. We're going to help us mod the tar out of this Suburban for Honeybadger. And Magic has made available for a cost the use of his war wagon. I don't know if you guys have seen the picture of that great big giant tan Samurai with the bars you can stand on the side and the turret. It's an actual gasoline powered vehicle on 38-inch tires. That
haven't seen it. I'll have to go find it.
But I'm immensely turned on. Please tell me more.
These guys shoot 40 millimeter tag projectiles at it and at buildings, and you can shoot them at the Suburban too if you want. So for you guys that have had those launchers sitting around your closets that still work, bring them to Honeybadger, because they will be in play.
Well, one of our friends at Nova have recently released a very, very pretty launcher, and I kind of not gonna lie, kind of want one of those. I don't need it, but God, wouldn't it be fun to have just a law hanging around?
Wouldn't it be funny if they would supply one in a loot box for the game?
That would be incredibly funny and even more incredibly awesome, considering how amazingly sexy TJ is.
I would reach out to him, but I know that he can't ship them across the border.
Oh, okay, right.
He tried to ship it to Wolf, and the border patrol, border services saw it and was like, absolutely not.
Took it, opened it, and then returned to sender it to him and charged him money to have it sent back.
That's weird because you can buy Tag-in launchers right off their website here in Canada.
Tag-in has a Canadian distributor.
Oh, okay.
So the difference is that as a whole or as a retailer, you can buy them wholesale, but you need a special account and a special clearance. But for him to ship it to an individual, Border Services is like absolutely not. It's not coming through. It's an absolute pain.
So if I might, because
if you can get a retailer to order it in.
Hey Adam, what are you doing right now?
Right.
So we preached at Supersoft MagFed that if things went well at the compound, we would look into doing more, and we won the owner over to the idea of doing MagFed paintball games. So Jesse is going to be running some very amazing games up there this year. If you can't make Honeybadger, at least check out the compound. Oh, yeah. And if this Honeybadger goes off without a hitch, I would not be opposed to running another one.
2 Honeybadgers a year, you mean? Or one a year?
One a year, like upscaling each year.
Because t-shirt launcher. You're right, Cliff.
With the compound, the sky is literally not the limit. And I would not be opposed to seeing how far we can take this. I want to take everything we know about airsoft with my experiences, everything I know about MagFed, paintball, and merge them together.
I've said before that airsoft and MagFed are just strange cousins. Mm-hmm. They're
much
not far apart. And the mentality, and I say that for all the good things, because for all the good and the very few negative, they're so similar that why not? They should all join and swap over. I keep saying there's not enough players for MagFed. We should all be share all the judges and all in our pockets and get more people would be nice.
And for all the people that are thinking about traveling and coming up, within 30 minutes travel of the field, there are several 3-star, 4-star hotel motels and a slew of Airbnbs that you and your buddies can rent together.
If someone were to want to camp,
oh yeah,
there's camping available.
PRZ 2.0. You're not allowed to bring your own firewood. Firewood is supplied for free because they want to protect the forest. We have a problem with the beetle.
The elm tree beetle, or the elm beetle, or the
ash tree.
One
of them.
Yeah,
I'm very.
We have a thing here in Fredericton for the elm. The elm
warms my heart.
So we have a good thing. We have a good thing going here as a community. You know, if we take care of it and we don't dump on it and we prop it up and keep it going. So nothing but good things.
We got about 20 minutes left. I want to dig into, because this is very hopeful. It sounds like it's going to be a great event. Like I said, I am very, very torn between this and Canadian Legends. Assuming I can go to either of them. I actually do have a bit of a plan. I have a conversation I have to have with somebody tomorrow, but if that conversation goes well, then my entire paintball year could actually change. But we all know MagFed has suffered greatly the past 5 years.
A little slow from what I understand.
A lot of people blamed COVID. I think, I don't know if it really was COVID that did it, because the rest of paintball came back. It's coming back. Sorry, it didn't come back entirely. It's fully there yet, but COVID finished, the fields opened up, and we're seeing more of the old guard coming back with the autocockers, the automags. The older gear is starting to come back, and they're just like, I've been out of the sport for 15 years. I'm coming back. But MagFed never came back. It just, it died one day, and it was just like, okay, cool.
Come back.
There was
that's what I mean. Yeah,
there was a brief resurgence, and then C21 came out. So there was
C21 did nothing to paintball, though.
It scared a lot of people into selling their gear on the used market.
Which, to me, that tells me that, never mind, I'm not going to get into a political rant. But if C21 scared you into selling your gear, that means you were completely uneducated on C21 and how quickly bills can go through the Senate. Anyways, that's a fault of the education system, not of the individual.
I can agree. I bought a lot of stuff on Kijiji.
Yeah, because C21 was, we're gonna get rid of the imitations. Cool. 68 caliber barrels are not imitation. Airsoft had something to worry about because they had actual licensed gear. Like, 1-to-1 with the actual word on it from
it says 5.56 on the side.
Right. It's an actual
replica. My Colt 45 was very much a very similar replica.
Is not a replica. Anyways, it was fine. It turns out nothing ever happened. So C21, big threat, nothing came through. Paintball's fine. But the players didn't buy their gear back.
No.
They didn't come back. So what happened? And that's what I want to understand, because PRZ was still around until just last year.
Hey, Rhino, what's going on, buddy?
That was that was it. So Cliff's got a point. He says, I don't think most fields won't do. I think his autocorrect is coming. Just magfed because of paint sales. I've always said that's always kind of been
sell tag rounds.
Sell field fees.
To walk on the field at the compound for a premier airsoft game, the ticket is $125 just to get on the field.
Because you got to make money.
Got to make money.
That's one thing I've never understood, and maybe that's
man's got to eat, Mr. Leahy.
A man's got to eat, right? And like that's one thing. Like a lot of fields, their whole business plan was built around paint sales, which is fine when you're doing hopper and speedball and rec ball and woods ball. But when magfed players come along, it was like, oh, okay, cool. There's a field fee, or you figure out a paint price by the bag that makes it profitable for you as a field. So it's like if a magfed player shows up and is like, hey, I only want one bag of paint. I'm going to play for 6 hours. You're like, cool, man. That's a $70 bag of paint. Do you want a whole case? I'll sell you the whole case for 80. Just as I would sell that guy over there a case for 80. Or maybe I guess Ontario would actually be closer to 100. So anyways, that's on the fields, but more. That's right. You guys get screwed hard on paint sales. Nobody in the Maritimes makes enough money to be able to afford more than that. We wouldn't be able to sell paint.
So you're right. It was dying.
Yeah.
But in the States, it was booming.
That's because the States have
they innovated.
Amazing.
They innovated. They changed. They
fields.
Adapted. They kept trying new things until they found something that stuck, like the ATAC system, being able to score points remotely.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Stuff like that. Stuff they're working on at the compound to try to get that installed. That's been something I've heard in conversations so many times.
Are you guys buying ATAC systems? Or are you buying the or are you doing a DIY system?
I'm not sure what they have.
Do DIY.
I don't work for the compound, but
don't drop that kind of cash on a branded ATAC system. Like you can build the same thing out of a Raspberry Pi for like $80.
Oh yeah, we've got some pretty interesting toys, like the
which is awesome. I love that too. Like that's cool. Like you're bringing that in. You're bringing it in. The gadgets.
So
gadgets are so much fun.
Here's an example of how MagFed is going to change here in the future. We all communicate using radios, right? Baofangs typically,
even though we're not supposed to. Yes. The RCC rules actually state
this little device here called a Tiny SA Ultra that you can buy on Amazon for $150-$200 will allow you to listen to every single Baofang conversation. So MagFed has become more than just running out and shooting your friends to now spying on the enemy and their plans.
The full-on spectrum analyzer.
So we're evolving. Our American friends have already done this. And we hope to bring it to Canada. I was hoping to make a video to show people how all this stuff works. And we're going to be making stuff forwards. And I think, not to toot my own horn, but Honeybadger is going to be a very small step forwards into what could be a very creative and bright future.
I wouldn't say small. I'm going to say it's going to be the first.
Maybe
the first step in the free. You know what I mean? Like, don't limit yourself. It's not going to be a small thing. You're putting on an event that I've never seen held in Canada.
I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Jesse and the Raid series. They have a very good thing going on.
They do, but
they don't have.
That's their own thing. But the raid has its following, and I still want to really go to a raid because those guys have
the
a
raid
really cool thing on.
That's
my hat's off to what he's doing for sure.
It's red apples and yellow apples. It's not. It's they're similar,
like
right? It's not apples and oranges because they are similar. They're MagFed, but yours is definitely way more of the simulation side of things, right?
We're gonna drop you into hell, and if you survive,
he doesn't have 200 acres of pre-built town to play with.
Well,
I guess now he does.
He does.
But he didn't before, you know what I mean? Like
I can only imagine what he's going to do with 200 plus acres,
right?
Like to get to your extraction is going to require some work.
Ooh, Pat, I like Pat's idea. Great minds, thank you.
Just organize MagFed meetups, play like a regular group. No need to shut down the whole field. MagFed Society does it. CMDQ does it. Ontario is not. I agree. I think also another thing. So yes, you don't need to shut down whole fields. You don't need events only. Mm-hmm. Another thing too is I found that, and this is one thing that I found playing with MagFed players in Ontario versus playing with MagFed players from Atlantic Canada, because we had a huge amount of MagFed players in Atlantic Canada for a 4-hour number of players total. But they all, once COVID hit, and it was like they were all kind of older guard, and they're all golf now. So yeah,
I like golfing,
right? But they played with speedballers every Sunday. They ran MagFed gear. They ran MagFed loadouts. They did not sit there and say, well, I want a MagFed only game. I want a MagFed only game. We did get some, and we ran some MagFed only games, but it was never, oh, I'm going to wait for the MagFed only game. It was, it's Sunday. Let's go play some ball.
Right.
You know? And I feel, I noticed playing in Ontario, a lot of MagFed players in Ontario, and I don't know if it's just because you had the population to support that, and that's where that mentality came from, but like, it was very like, I only play MagFed. I don't play open class. I don't play with speedballers. I was like, wow, like you guys,
that's a
you got the population to do it.
You're right. That's I gotta say 2 to 3 years that like it started to get louder. That voice like started to get louder.
They wanted MagFed only games, and I was like, there's not enough of you.
I think part and parcel to that was being pinned down in the hallway at PRZ by somebody who's got 5 pods and a hopper and an EMEC or whatever.
Sure. But that's your fault for going into a hallway in PRZ.
Right. Just snipe them through the window and call it a day.
Find a new angle, bro. Like, there's another way around. Like,
there is always, even at open class games and open terrain, and there is always a log you can hide behind or something.
Especially PRZ. Push the wall over. Kick out a cinder block and crawl through the
meat shield.
Or meat shield it. Just go for it, bro. You know, so that's one thing I noticed with the mentality of in Ontario was, but I chalked it up to the population size. Ontario had the MagFed numbers to support a lot of MagFed only games. But I do like that idea. Just get a group of MagFed players together, go play.
Yeah,
don't wait for the MagFed only stuff. Don't sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm only going to play at the compound because that's only MagFed. It's like, cool. I love that, but like
you could have a MagFed meetup at a speedball field with the bunkers and everything. It's still the same thing.
Oh, God, I love that so much.
You know, in between rounds or whatever. Okay, guys, you ready? Let's go. We got 5 minutes.
Right.
I would be lying if I said I did.
Right? Like,
it's Lead Farmer actually did that at Commando and had really good success.
The Gulag. Yep. He ran the Gulag. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I've ran the CMC, which was apples and apples. You red apples and yellow apples. His was more speedball oriented. Mine was more point oriented. Yeah, closer to a woods ball breakdown. But I'm curious to see if this will cause MagFed to start to grow back to its previous numbers. Like people are going to see the compound and see that as like, if they're close enough to it, if they want to go to something like that regularly, maybe they can only play once a month or travel that far. They will get more MagFed gear. But I remember back in the day, man, like you go to a field and there was TGR2s, there was M17s, there was the First Strikes, there was T15s, Tiberius at the time. There was the Tip-X's tricked out. There was the T9s tricked out. The TMC showed up at one point. Like there was a lot of MagFed stuff. And there was all these different markers. And then suddenly it just, poof, all evaporated. and I'd love to see it come back. You know, and I think this is going to do it.
Yeah. And to all my friends watching, do me a favor and get on the internet, wherever it is you get on the internet. That and I'm speaking specifically to the people that went to the Supersoft game, and start sharing those pictures of riding around on the war wagon. Okay, and start. And I'm not trying to promote myself here, but I do have quite a few videos of the compound on my channel, including a field tour.
No, check it out yourself. We want more people to show up. I want this game overloaded. I want it sold out.
I've got actually when we have about 2 minutes left, I have a small announcement that is going to tie into your YouTube channel.
Okay. Oh, for sure. The experience in itself is worth the journey. If you're going to make it out,
that's something else too. Mm-hmm. Just this is totally. I don't know if it actually affects anything, but it's just one thing that I have noticed, and I was just like, this is like a tiny little change that might be something that like is the smallest little change, but could truly properly impact. Pictures. You mentioned pictures. Share the pictures out, specifically of riding on the war wagon. Magfed people, those of you that are hardcore, diehard Magfed players, do me a favor. Stop sharing the same photo of you and your 5 buddies standing in the staging area with your gear looking all tactical and operator. I want game photos. I want to see you doing stuff, not you pretending and being in the staging area and being like, we're all tough and look at my trigger discipline. I don't care. Your air's off. Like you got no mag. You know what I mean? But show the cool side. Show the action side of MagFed, because you don't see it anymore.
Oh, Dan, thanks for telling me you're in sunny Tampa, Florida.
And start, even if you're sharing photographers, Love Day Photography, Ashley Day, Canadian Cunt. There are so many, and I know I'm forgetting at least 5 of them. Colin, Greg. Yeah, share their work.
Share the work. Share the cool photos.
Sheldon's.
I
know he doesn't do MagFed, but I don't care. Sheldon shows
up. Sheldon does do MagFed.
He does do MagFed. He was at Honeybadger.
There are so many photographers out there, and I know I'm forgetting some Animal Pack. They do photography. There's just
everybody.
I do apologize. Yeah. It's been a year since
I know.
Really played.
There's a lot of them. It's the photographers out there, but that's what I'm saying. Like, don't just share the photos of you standing there with all your gear, looking all like the cover of a Call of Duty game. Share the wild stuff. Like, share the cool stuff. And if there's no photos of you doing cool stuff, take this as constructive criticism. It means you didn't do anything cool.
If you've got a picture of you on your knees screaming at the sky because you just can't take the level of intensity, that's the one that you want to share.
100%. Like when I take photos, when I'm doing photos at an event and I'm going around shooting video and shooting photos, the number of players who don't do anything is infuriating. Like, it's so hard to find players doing cool stuff. That's why especially with Sheldon, you find he takes a lot of photos of the same people, because those people are doing something and end up in front of a camera. Please do cool stuff.
Sheldon's How come nobody's phoned this phone number down here?
Because everyone's scared to call in.
Give us a call. I don't bite, I swear.
We've got about 4 minutes left.
Make it quick.
So tell us what are you talking about then?
Just a small little announcement. There is going to be a change in the schedule for the show. So for those of you watching live, you get to hear about this. And if you're listening to this on the stream, you're probably listening to it a week later. So the show is now going to be posted on Spotify, all the podcasting networks. They're going to get the episode 1 week later. But if you want to sit through the stream and watch it on Facebook or YouTube, it'll be there. You can watch it there. That's going to be posted immediately because it gets posted as soon as it goes live. But if you want to listen to the audio episode, all you got to do is head on over to the Patreon, which the link is in the description. And if you sign up for the Patreon, you get it tomorrow. You get it the next day. So if you're really keen on that, and you're like, I really want to hear Brad and Tom's sultry voice and whatever guest they've brought on, you want to hear it the next day, and you just want to support the podcast and help us keep the lights on, you can sign up on Patreon. And then also on Patreon, there's going to be show notes. So you're going to get a little breakdown of each episode, including the links to our guests' socials and YouTube. So You can find all that stuff. So if you're listening to this and going, man, I'd like to find Mechtactical, but I can't remember, or they had a guest on, they were talking about MagFed stuff. I don't remember his name. If you go to the Patreon, you can find the show notes and you can find the links. Boom, just that easy. So
that is pretty simple.
Right, it is super simple,
like
and
that.
it helps us. It really does. Dan, yes, you absolutely can still tune in live. That's the best part. So live, come hang out, say hi, chit chat with us. Love it. But if you want to listen on Spotify, you gotta wait a week. Unless you want to go to Patreon, you can listen to it there. Now we're gonna trial run this. If it doesn't work out, and I find that like I don't really like how it works,
it's just it's going to work because everybody is. We just appreciate everybody for helping us out.
Oh no, I'm more worried about if Patreon's system doesn't work and it just becomes a pain in the ass. Then I'll. Yeah, okay, no, I'm more worried about a technical side of things. If I find that it's not living up to its to what I was promised
potential,
yeah, then I'll kill it. But yeah, that's going to be the new thing. So we're going to post. So this episode, so we're going to go live every Thursday as normal, and then you'll be able to listen on Spotify. Everybody can listen on Spotify. It'll go live Wednesday. That will be next week, and then yeah. So there's that, as well as I was playing around with the idea of putting it in the Discord, but I don't think I'll do that.
No, but we would invite everybody to join our Discord.
Yes, absolutely. Come hang out in the Discord. We got to do.
We'll do another stream night ASAP.
Yeah, we'll do another stream night at some point. Maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, we gotta have another stream. I just discovered there's a button for comments over here, and I didn't have it clicked.
Oh, sorry, that's okay. The comments have been flying through. The speaking of which, yeah, come hang out in the Discord. And it's a ton of fun. Lately, me and Zach have been playing Battlefield 2042 with the sole intent of not trying to win the game, but more like what shenanigans can we get into? Like
I would have played, but my opinion of EA, and I am not signing up for another bloody launching service on my machine. I am so done with every company having its own friggin' launcher, and EA is intrusive.
So with 2042, is that like what we were doing yesterday? Riot shields. We were running around with riot shields and lever action. Because
so stupid.
If we're talking about video games, if I may, I really don't promote video games that much, but I've taken an extreme liking to Arena Breakout. And if you want to, it's a better, in my opinion, a better version of Tarkov. It is completely free and totally playable. If you want to download and try the game, my name is Mechtactical in the game. You add me in your little friends box, and I can carry you through.
All right, we'll try it out because I tried Tarkov once and then realized I was like, I need 15 fingers to hit all the buttons that I need to hit. I was like, I'm done.
Way simpler.
Yeah,
I always wanted to try Tarkov, but I didn't want to pay and find out that I hated it. So yeah. I'm down.
My thing for Tarkov, what killed it, was it Tarkov or Arma that killed it for me? Where it was like, oh sweet, night vision scope, no battery. So that sounds like Arma.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like Arma.
I was like, I'm done. This is garbage, and I uninstalled it. And then I went and played Call of Duty or something. So, but that's it, folks. We're out of time.
We appreciate everybody. Thanks for listening to us.
Yeah, Ryan.
Thanks for having me on, boys. Thank you.
Absolutely, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, one of us can make it down to Honeybadger, and or both of us, or we'll see how things go. We'll figure out how this whole thing is going to happen. It's going to be
sorry about the conflicting dates thing. If you want to go to Adrenaline, and this is for everybody else, go. If you're a really good friend of mine and you want to go check out, CPX, do that, because that's what ballers do. Go do what's fun for you. We'll catch you on the next one. It's no big deal.
Yeah. If you're not digging the MilSim side of things, you might have a better time over at Canadian Legends. If you're not a fan of getting stuck throwing thousands of rounds of paintballs at each other, you may want to go over to Honeybadger at the compound. But yeah, pick your poison. And but that's it, folks. We're out of here. It's been a blast. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and chit-chatting, liking, and sharing, and all that jazz. And like I said, if you want to help support us, you can sign up on Patreon. The link is in the description. or if you want to come hang out in the Discord, we're always happy to have new members and get some conversations going and share your gear and talk about stuff. And it doesn't have to be paintball. We're just chilling. And that's it, folks. We're out of here. Until next week. Cheers.
Doodles.